Today, we're not going to look at maps or military strategy. No. Instead, we're going inside one family's apartment. Because it's right there, at the breakfast table, that a nation's wounds and its pride are really forged. We're going to see how history gets personal, long before it ever becomes political.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it all. See, history isn't just something you memorize from a book. It's an emotional inheritance. It's the atmosphere of a home, the air you breathe, the arguments you overhear. All those unspoken fears that shape who you are, long before you even have the words for them.
So let's step inside the Sokolov family's apartment. Their story starts on what seems like just another ordinary morning. But in this home, breakfast is a kind of battleground for memory. And the past? Well, the past is always a guest at the table. Okay, so each member of this family is carrying a different piece of history. You've got Viktor, the grandfather, who's still grieving for a lost Soviet empire. Then his son, Andrei, who's just haunted by the chaos that came after it fell. And then there's young Maksim, who's basically absorbing all of these fears. But the women, Elena and Anya, they seem to measure reality in a totally different way, through safety, and through the truth that hides behind the big words.
And this is that atmosphere we're talking about. Just picture it. A TV that's always on, always too loud, a place where any little topic, the price of milk, the weather, whatever, can just ignite a huge debate about the country's place in the world. It's a home that's just saturated with this deep sense of grievance.
This line from Viktor, the grandfather, wow, it's so revealing. For him, his own personal health and the nation's strength are totally intertwined. I mean, he literally feels the country's weakness in his body. This isn't just politics for him, it's visceral.
So you have to ask, where does a worldview like this even come from? It's not some political ideology they read about. No, it's what you might call an emotional grammar, a whole way of seeing the world that's built on generations of feeling loss and humiliation.
And just look at the difference between the two men in the Sokolov family. For Viktor, the wound is all about status, the loss of a superpower that never had to explain itself. But for his son Andrei, the pain is way more tangible. It's the raw memory of the 1990s, a time when life savings turned to dust and the floor just fell out from under an entire generation. And this is how it gets passed down to Maksim, the son. He didn't live through the worst of it, but he inherited all the stories. For him, they became this personal mythology, boiled down into these powerful, almost primal lessons. Don't be weak. Don't let them laugh at you, because strength is the only thing that matters.
And then, things start to shift. As the country's fortunes seem to change, so does the mood in the Sokolov's apartment. Pride starts to come back, and with it, this new kind of intolerance for anyone who dares to question the official story.
This timeline really shows you how things gradually harden. The family goes from the shame of the 90s to this sense of relief when order is finally restored in the 2000s. But by 2014, that relief has kind of curdled into this rigid conviction. Suddenly, questioning things isn't just disagreeable anymore, it feels like a betrayal.
And here she is, the voice of dissent. Anya, the daughter, she sees right through the performance. She gets that this loud, constant demand for respect is really just a mask for a deep, lingering insecurity. She's the one who hears the cracks in the family's newfound certainty.
So 2014 becomes the big turning point. Ukraine is no longer just a country next door, it becomes the screen where the Sokolovs project all of their historical grievances. In their minds, the annexation of Crimea isn't an invasion, it's historical justice, a way to correct all those past humiliations. After 2014, all the family's different shades of opinion, all the nuance, it just collapses into one. The arguments pretty much disappear. They're replaced by a single, unified, and really powerful conviction.
And this is the moment everything changes. For years, this has all just been talk, right? Arguments over dinner, yelling at the TV news. But now, that abstract national story is about to walk right into their apartment and make a very, very concrete demand.
The invasion begins, and suddenly all those years of stories about strength and history and humiliation, they're not just words anymore. The narrative they've built now needs someone to go out and enact it. It needs a body.
This is the central crisis, isn't it? All that grand historical language is put to the ultimate test. What do you actually do when the story you've been telling yourself for decades suddenly shows up at your door and asks for your child?
The escalation is just terrifyingly fast. It goes from being a news report on TV
to a phone call that brings the war right into their living room. And all those abstract ideas of duty and strength are now in a head-on collision with the instinct to protect their own son, Maksim.
This exchange right here, it's everything. Viktor, the grandfather, he's speaking the language of the state, of abstract duty. But Elena, the mother, she answers with the language of the body, of that visceral protective love. It's the whole conflict between the nation's story and the family's reality, captured perfectly.
So, what happens after? After the story gets what it wants, well, the family's confident, argumentative language just breaks down. It gets replaced by something much heavier: silence.
And this brings us to this crucial idea of damaged language. After Maksim leaves, simple words, like fine, they become unbearable. The word strength now just sounds hollow. The family's entire vocabulary has been corrupted by what isn't being said.
And this just shows you the devastating shift. The home used to be defined by loud arguments. Now it's defined by the agonizing silence between text messages from the front. The weight is no longer in the words themselves, but in their absence.
And nobody in the Sokolov family is left unchanged. Viktor's pride is damaged. Andrei, the father, he's forced to confront the real consequences of the lessons he taught his son. Even Anya's clear-eyed critique gets complicated. I mean, how do you criticize the machine when your own brother is trapped inside it? And Elena, the mother, she's just left with the impossible job of measuring the true human cost.
And this is the story's devastating conclusion. The family isn't physically destroyed. The apartment is still standing. The real tragedy is that it continues to be a home, a place of love. And because of that, it can't keep the war out. The war comes inside, and it just lives with them, quietly altering everything. And so we end here. Once a family's abstract beliefs have been paid for with the body of someone they love, what is there left to say? How do you live in that new, heavy silence? The story doesn't give us an easy answer, because there isn't one.